Hey guys, welcome back to another talk with Shelly. So, you see in this video, you've probably, well, hopefully, my videos have uploaded. If you saw the video prior to this, you know that I've been having trouble with YouTube uploading videos. I don't know what's going on, it's really slow. There's one about perspective. As of the making of this video, it is still not uploaded, and that was over a week ago. So I do have another channel. It's a crafting sewing channel, and I was having trouble uploading videos to that as well, but not nearly as bad as this channel. So I don't know what exactly is going on with that. Um, but we're going to sit now here on the porch. We're going to have a relaxing evening. It's beautiful out. The birds are singing. We have a lot to be thankful for. I'm sure we all do. Today, I want to talk about outgrowing people. And we do. Well, a friend of mine told me years ago, she said that people come into your life. Sometimes they stay forever. Sometimes they're just there for a minute, a season, for a period of time, and then they're gone. People don't always come in your life and stay. And then there are some people that do come and they stay, and eventually you outgrow them. For example, I know someone who drinks a lot or used to drink a lot. And when he drank, there were certain people that he'd hang out with, other people that drank. And he started to realize that he had a problem and he wanted to quit drinking. So he quit drinking. And of course, he quit hanging out with the people that he drank with. And the reason being is that that's the bond that brought them together, the drinking, not necessarily the friendships. So he outgrew those friends. Um, have other friends. When I've worked places over the years, I made work friends. We didn't do stuff outside of work together. We just were friends at work. When that job run its course, I quit or moved on to something else. Those friends fell by the wayside. Naively, I didn't want them to. I would still reach out to them, but they weren't really interested. We were just work friends. It's a lot like, yeah, it's that way in a lot of respects. Um, if you are a drug addict and you hung around with people that did drugs, when you stop doing drugs, you move on to something else. You outgrow those quote unquote friends. However, I don't know that I would call them friends. Um, but like I said, you outgrow people. People come into your life for a reason, for a season, and then they're gone and they move on. My husband has a friend that he's had since high school, actually middle school, um, and they stayed pretty close for a long time. And then he and his wife decided to move 12 hours away, which is fine. It's their prerogative. They're allowed to do that. I'm not judging that part. But you have to understand that when you decide to do something like that, you're not close anymore to do things with. We would do things together. We go out to eat. We play games. We celebrated Christmases and holidays. And at first, when they moved, we tried to stay close, but everything just kind of fell apart and grew apart. And I guess you could say he outgrew us, maybe. He wanted to move on to a place that he felt was better for him, so he outgrew us. Um, at first, I was salty about that. I'm not going to lie, because I had gotten close to his wife as well. And I tried to keep in touch with her, but she wouldn't. She never returned my calls. She would text, but they were just short texts. I guess she was preoccupied with other stuff. But it's a sad reality in life that sometimes we outgrow the people around us. We outgrow our friends. I had a friend that was comfortable with me when I stayed in a certain box. When I started growing and changing and becoming what I felt was a better person or a different person, she didn't like that. It wasn't, I had moved her out of her comfort zone. She couldn't completely accept that I was growing. She would make comments like, um, what, you're sewing now? You're like a little old lady. You're traveling and you're sewing and you're doing all these things. And I felt like it unsettled her because I was becoming somebody that she felt like she didn't know. And instead of embracing the new me, or I don't even say it's a new me, instead of embracing the me that was exploring myself and exploring my world, she chose to cut herself off from me. Um, she said, it's like, I don't even know you anymore. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're doing. So, because I chose growth, I chose to explore new things. I chose to figure out in my retirement years, if you could call this retirement, because I'm not really retired, but in my older years, now that my child is grown, because I chose to embrace a life of exploring who I was, or who I am, or who I might want to be, a future me. We're growing human beings, and I don't mean physically. We should never stop growing and learning and pushing ourselves for new things. Once you stop growing, you start dying. And I don't mean to be morbid, it's not it at all. Um, I just want to keep growing and thriving and learning. As my father told me years ago, you will never stop learning as long as you are alive. You need to keep embracing learning. So I've learned how to sew. I mean, I was in my 40s when I learned how to groom dogs, so there's that. Um, but I always wanted to write a book, so I wrote a book. It's on Amazon, Shelley Wyatt. But the truth of the matter is, it probably sucked. But that's not the point. The point is, I wrote it. The point is, I wrote 2 or 3 books. There's several books on Amazon because I wanted to do it. I wanted to see if I could do it, and I wanted to push myself to grow. Now, realistically, I understand I'm not a writer. I've come to terms with that. Just like I have come to terms with the fact that I grew up on a farm, but I'm not a farmer. Um, we have to be realistic with ourselves and we have to understand who we are. And sometimes that takes a long time. It takes growth and it takes years and perspective. If that video ever gets uploaded, we can talk about perspective. We all have different perspectives in life. So I feel like um, with this friend, I didn't feel like I outgrew her. I feel like she abandoned me. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's my perspective. That's how I see it. I feel like when I started growing and pushing my limits and exploring who I wanted to be, that she gave up on me and walked away. And this was a close friend. This was, she's not only a friend, she's related to me. She was related and a friend. And I felt like, as I believe I spoke in another video, I feel like I cared about her more than she ever cared about me. And that hurt to come to that realization. Now, on the other hand, I have another friend. Our parents were friends. She and I grew up together, basically. Um, we lived about half an hour away, but she would come and just spend the summers with me. And it was a wonderful, wonderful relationship. It still is a wonderful relationship. Uh, we grew apart, but I wouldn't say we outgrew each other. We grew apart because she was in a abusive relationship. She got married, and it was an abusive relationship, and he wouldn't let her see anybody or talk to anybody from her past. So for about 10, 12 years, we didn't communicate. And then as soon as she left him, she started coming back around, and she has stood by my side. She has supported me in my growth, in my every endeavor that I've ever had. She supported me. She never once looked at me and said, "Who are you and what did you do with my old friend? I want you to stay that old friend." Not that the other person ever said that, but she didn't have to. She didn't have to say that, because when I started growing, she left. This other person has stuck by me and encouraged me, and, you know, let me know that I should just keep trying stuff. And this person is a fighter. This person has been living with a autoimmune disease that has destroyed her liver. She's had 3 liver transplants. She's fought to stay alive. She is in the fight of her life even as we speak. Um, so I thank her for being here, for being, she'll know who she is. She knows who she is. But I thank her for being here and not walking away from me. She never walked away from me in my ugliest. And I can't say that for other people. So, did I outgrow those other people? Did they outgrow me? Is it just the way life rolls? Is this just the way that it's meant to be? People come and they go. The first person that I talked about told me that I always made her feel less than. I never tried to make anybody feel less than. I believe that she portrayed that on herself. Again, my perspective. Everybody has their own perspective. And sometimes you outgrow people. Sometimes you outgrow your old life. And that's okay, because we're humans and we are here to grow, outgrow the old, and move on to the new. And I want to encourage you to do that. I want to encourage you to embrace learning new things. I want to encourage you to not be afraid to move on. There's something better on the other side. And if you're looking to start a YouTube channel, I recommend you do it. Just get on here. As like I said in the previous video, hiring sucks. I talked about hiring and about how, you should just embrace things and do it. And you really should. Anyway, I want to thank you for being here. And I hope that the perspective video has uploaded by now, by the time you get to see this. We'll see. Last week was a bust. Didn't get anything really uploaded. They say sometimes that YouTube has glitches like that. So I'm guessing last week was their glitch, hoping we don't have it again this week. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Guys, hang in there. Remember, it's okay to outgrow your old life. It's okay to outgrow people who don't want to grow with you, people who are afraid of growth. It's okay for that. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Guys, have a great night.